Next in international news, Danish officials are sending a clear message to President Trump. Greenland is not for sale.
Tonight, the White House revealing President Trump and his advisors are discussing a range of options for acquiring Greenland, adding that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio tells lawmakers the administration is not eyeing an imminent invasion and that the goal is to buy the island from Denmark, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the discussions.
We'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. We need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time.
In August 2019, the world laughed. Late-night hosts had a field day. Twitter exploded. Headlines treated it like a punchline. Trump wants to buy Greenland.
We need Greenland from a national security situation.
It sounded like a bad real estate joke. Another impulsive comment from a president known for saying the quiet part loud. Denmark laughed it off. Greenland's leaders said politely, "We're not for sale," and most people moved on. That was a mistake. Because the idea that Greenland matters, really matters, didn't start with Trump. And it didn't end when the joke stopped. Trump didn't invent the interest in Greenland. He just said it out loud. And once you understand why the most powerful country on Earth keeps staring at a frozen island with only 56,000 people, the joke disappears fast. This isn't about ice. It's about power. Pull up a world map. Greenland looks like empty white space. Far away, frozen, irrelevant. But in geopolitics, location beats population every time. Greenland sits at the exact choke point between North America, Europe, and the Arctic. It's the front door to the polar routes that are opening as ice melts. That matters because the Arctic is no longer a frozen dead zone. It's the next battlefield. As climate change melts sea ice, new shipping lanes are appearing, routes that can cut weeks off global trade. Whoever controls these routes controls the flow of goods between Asia, Europe, and North America. And Greenland is the watchtower. If you're the United States, you don't see an island. You see early warning radar coverage over the North Atlantic, missile defense positioning, control over emerging Arctic trade routes, a forward operating base against Russia, a denial zone against China. In military terms, Greenland is a cheat code. Here's something rarely mentioned. The U.S. never left Greenland. Since World War II, America has maintained a permanent military presence there, most famously Thule Air Base, now Patuxent Space Base. This base is not symbolic. It's a core node in U.S. missile warning systems, space surveillance, ballistic missile defense. If a nuclear missile ever flies over the Arctic toward the United States, Greenland is where America sees it first. That alone makes Greenland priceless. But Trump wasn't just thinking about today's wars. He was thinking about the next 50 years. While the public was laughing, Russia and China were moving. Russia has been rebuilding Soviet-era Arctic bases, deploying hypersonic missiles, and treating the Arctic like a militarized border. China, despite not being an Arctic nation, declared itself a near-Arctic power. Translation: we're coming anyway. China has poured money into Arctic infrastructure, research stations, and critically, Greenlandic mining projects. And that set off alarm bells in Washington. Because this wasn't about science, it was about resources. Under Greenland's ice is one of the most valuable untapped treasure troves on Earth. We're talking about rare earth elements, uranium, zinc, iron ore, possibly oil and gas. Rare earths are the quiet backbone of modern civilization.
And the key area of interest is these critical minerals that are sometimes called rare earths that are used particularly in things like electric cars, wind turbines, the very thing that makes the electrification, if you like, of the economy possible.
They're in smartphones, electric vehicles, fighter jets, missiles, satellites. And here's the problem for the US. China controls the vast majority of the world's rare earth supply chain. That's not an accident. That's leverage. From a Trump-era national security perspective, letting China gain influence over Greenland's minerals is unacceptable. Buying Greenland wasn't about owning land. It was about denying China access.
In essence, when Donald Trump talks about Greenland, one of the things he is interested in is how can the United States and other friendly nations ensure that Greenland's mineral potential, if exploited further, is exploited for our benefit Or he is also preoccupied with stopping China develop a foothold in Greenland and then dominating Greenlandic resources and then creating a further stranglehold on rare earth supplies globally.
Here's where Trump's mindset matters. Trump doesn't think like a diplomat. He thinks like a dealmaker, where past administrations preferred quiet pressure, multilateral agreements, back-channel influence. Trump prefers ownership, control, leverage. To Trump, Greenland wasn't a sovereign identity problem. It was a balance sheet problem. The logic is brutally simple. The U.S. already defends Greenland. The U.S. already operates its most critical Arctic base there. Denmark can't fully develop Greenland without foreign capital. China is waiting with a checkbook. So Trump asked the most Trump question imaginable. Why don't we just buy it? Crude? Yes. Strategic? Absolutely. Here's the part history books quietly bury. The United States has tried to buy Greenland before, multiple times. In 1867, after buying Alaska after World War II, when the U.S. offered Denmark hundreds of millions in gold, the logic never changed. Control Greenland, and you control the North Atlantic. Trump didn't invent the idea. He just broke the unspoken rule of pretending it wasn't an option. Publicly, Denmark rejected the idea. Privately, the message landed. After Trump's proposal, Denmark increased military spending in Greenland. The U.S. expanded diplomatic presence there. Washington ramped up direct engagement with Greenland's government, because even if Greenland isn't for sale, influence always is, and Trump's blunt approach forced everyone to admit what was really happening. This is the key point most coverage missed. Greenland doesn't matter because of what it is today. It matters because of what it will be when ice melts, shipping lanes open resource, extraction becomes economically viable, the Arctic becomes a major trade corridor. Empires don't wait until value is obvious. They move early. Trump saw Greenland the same way he saw real estate in Manhattan decades ago. Buy before everyone else realizes what it's worth. Here's the irony. The ridicule helped Trump. By turning the idea into a joke, the public ignored the strategy. While critics laughed, the Pentagon, intelligence agencies, and rivals took notes. Russia didn't laugh. China didn't laugh. They understood exactly what the move signaled. America isn't leaving the Arctic, and it's willing to be unapologetic about protecting its dominance there. Trump never bought Greenland, but the objective wasn't ownership. It was drawing a red line for China, reasserting U.S. Arctic dominance, forcing allies to take Greenland seriously, shifting the Overton window of geopolitics. In that sense, the move worked. The real question is, why did it take a headline-grabbing billionaire president to remind the world that Greenland decides the future of Arctic power? Because once the ice melts, once the routes open, once the minerals come online, Greenland won't be a joke anymore. It will be one of the most contested pieces of land on Earth. And Trump wasn't crazy for seeing that early. He was just early enough to get laughed at.